This is Tribe Talk, week number 4, and it is time to talk now with the head football coach of the Clarke Indians after another week of football. Coach, obviously, a tough game, rivalry game against Chariton, not coming your guys' way, 42-0 in favor of the Chargers. Second week in district play under your guys' belt as well. Talk to us a little bit about the game.
Yeah, we 42-0. Chariton came out on top. It was an adversity game for us. Is kind of how I'd wrap it up. I mean, we had some players go down with some injuries that are kind of, I would say, a big staple of what we're doing with John Bear and Connor Deutsch, and so we had to kind of fill some spots and move some people around, and players are playing with out of positions, which is not a very deep team. You kind of had to move the chess pieces around on the board, and it caused some injuries, or not injuries, some turnovers. Excuse me. If we had those guys in those positions, I don't think those probably would have happened. But still very proud of how hard the team fought and battled for 4 quarters. And I know the scoreboard doesn't reflect it, but we are improving.
And talk to us about the adversity that you guys face. You talked a little bit about the players going down. How well do you feel as a team that you guys bounced back from that adversity, from that struggle point when those guys did go down?
Well, I think some of it. Some of the players were shook a little bit to see Connor go down. With the knee injury, because he never. I mean, they could see he was in some pain. And I'll be honest. It was it wasn't fun for me to see that either. You never want to see a player go down and in that amount of pain. And Connor's just kind of been one of our players that's just been, a lot of the stuff that he does through his actions. I mean, he's not a huge rah-rah type of guy, but he is consistent, and he works very hard when he's on the practice field or in the weight room, and so your heart breaks for that, and I'm just hoping and praying that it's nothing too serious, and we get him back here soon. And it's kind of like when you fall off a horse, you got to get back on quick. I mean, so I hope that he, it doesn't get gun shy, with it. I mean, he understands that, if no, I'm just knocking on wood here that it's nothing serious. I mean, the trainer thought maybe it was structurally there wasn't anything wrong, but it's obviously they should get it checked out, and I know they are today. So
always tough to see a player like Connor, the one of the leaders on this program, go down and not be able to finish the fight with you guys last night. And then John Bear also going down. We'll talk about the injury report here in a little bit. But tell us a little bit now, Coach. We'll start with the defensive side of the football. Talk about the defensive side a little bit. 42 points is something you don't want to see on the scoreboard at the end of the game. But tell us about that. How well do you think they performed last night, and some things you guys looked at that possibly taken as a positive, as well as some things you guys need to address this week?
Well, Riley Domina had a really good game defensively. I think he was double digits for tackles. He really wrapped up, and he's a wrestler, so he had those double legs down pretty well. But we just need to again work on our angles that we take, from our safeties to our linebackers, because right now our angles, I think, are hurting us the most. We're coming up, but we're not taking the best angles, and but those are things that are fixable, and we just got to keep preaching the same thing to these kids, and we'll get there. Defensive line wise, we got to stay off our knees. when we're going through tackles. We're getting there. We're wrapping up. But we're going down to our knees, and then you lose all that power when you go down to your knees and you can't finish the tackle. One thing I will say, at times, we had their quarterback, scrambling. I mean, so we were getting some pressure, and we did have a 2 or 3 sacks, some tackles for loss. So, there's glimpses of stuff that, we could see. Jake Smith, his name was called a few times last night on the defensive side of the ball. So I thought, he really kind of had a little bit of a coming out party on the defensive side of the ball. Getting to, staying active in the play and not quitting, and kind of becoming a little bit of a spectator out on the field. And so if we can continue to get more production out of him, and he's a young kid, he's a freshman, we're I guess the future's bright.
And you've talked about the future being bright, getting ready for what's coming up in the next few years, and you obviously want to get this one continued with the troops you got right here. But defense, on the defensive side of the ball, it takes a lot of big plays to change a momentum in a ball game. And for you guys, what's it going to take to start creating a few turnovers to get those momentum-changing plays and give you guys a good opportunity to put some points on the board in good field position?
Sure. We did have Peyton Winship had an interception last night, and they were going deep. And they were, it's just how you draw it up on the board. And I mean, they were 3rd and long position. They were trying to get a first down. He played it pretty smart and went up and got the ball. It was on, I think, our 25, 20-yard line. And so it wasn't like it was real deep in their territory or anything like that. But I think with things that I talked about, taking good pursuit angles to put yourself in a right position to make a tackle, and then having, Coach Reese calls it the 9-5-90 rule. He said, have 9 guys to the ball, more than or 9 guys to the ball, no more than 5 yards away from the ball 90% of the time. So you should have a guy tackling, a guy polishing it, and the rest of the 9 should be flying to the football to be there. Okay, and so, and within 5 yards of that football. And so, I think if we get more guys to the football, gang tackling and being physical, hopefully we can get some turnovers to start happening, because that's one thing that we haven't, done a great job this year with, is turnovers. I mean, we've given the ball up a lot. But it's hard to score points when you don't hang on to the football, and then when you're not getting those turnovers either.
Segment number 1 of Tribe Talk is complete with Coach Matthess. We'll come back in just a little bit, and segment number 1 brought to you by Osceola Dental Care. Segment number 2 of Tribe Talk, talking with the head football coach of the Clarke Indians. That's Duane Matthess. And Tribe Talk brought to you this segment by Joe's Hack and Quack Barbershop. Coach, you guys on the offensive side saw a couple of bright spots once again this week. Saw some things you guys could work with for next week's game against Davis County, and then some things you guys obviously need to address again here, and try putting some points up on the board in opportune times early in the ball game. Talk to us about the offensive side of the ball, some things that kind of stood out to you.
We had our best performance completion percentage with our quarterback Cole Reese. He was 6 for 14, so that's a positive. And Riley Domina was our leading receiver. I would say he'd be a candidate that I would put forth for player of the game overall, not just offensively but defensively as well. And so um, we started to move the ball. I mean, we started off the first play of the game, 11-yard gain, first down, and then uh, it's so there's some bright spots offensively for us. Again, it's like, but turnovers plague us. Uh, some pre-snap stuff that that confused us at times. So, and that's I got to work with our guys a little bit more. Uh, it's on me, and we'll continue to coach them up and have them ready for Davis County.
You talked about Cole Reese being at quarterback. Now, if I'm not mistaken, John Bear started the season there. What led to the change in putting him there and putting them both on the field at the same time?
Well, I mean, Cole he's a sophomore, and I thought he gave us a good option to get John on the field in a different position, and John hits a hole a lot harder than any of the other backs that we have. I mean, and so he's sounds like he's built from the same mold as the other Bears that have came before him.
Absolutely.
In a Clarke uniform. So and that's offensively, that's given us the best options to move the ball. I mean, so and not that Byron didn't do a good job before. They're two totally different style runners. So Byron is going to have a lot more success when he has some more space. But Byron and Chris Carson will probably be our featured backs this next week going into Davis County due to the injuries. So hopefully, we'll be able to move the ball, and the line can give them some creases of daylight to get through. So
obviously, things on the offensive side you guys want to address this week in practice, and you talked about some things you guys also saw that went well. Now moving forward a little bit, talk a little bit player of the game. You talked about Riley Domina being a guy out there making plays happen. You talked about Cole under center doing stuff as well. John Bear, Connor, multiple guys could be your nominations. Jake Smith could be a nomination as well. Who would you say would be deserving of a player of the game this week?
Well, someone else I didn't talk about too that really, has kind of been consistently right there towards the top and defense is Amani Fry. So you have Amani and Riley that I would probably put as co-players of the game, because they're the ones that are flying around to the ball defensively, and even though you put up, this is what's life of a football coach here. People just see scores in the paper and they see 42-0. Defense didn't do their job, or we are one team, one tribe that we talk about, and offense didn't help out the defense, and we've let them down, but we put them in turnovers and put them in easy scoring positions, and then I'm sure if you talk to Coach Reese, he would say, well, the defense didn't do their job and missed tackles or missed assignments and stuff like that. Because we had that conversation on the way home. And that's what I love our working relationship that I have with Coach Reese. I probably spend more time with him than I do my wife. But him and I are, I would say, 99% of the time on the same page in regards to what he's thinking is what I'm thinking, and vice versa. So I'm pretty fortunate to have him on my staff.
And it's always good to have someone like that you can lean on and go back and forth with, and be able to pretty much think the same things and know what's coming up next for you guys. And I want to talk a little bit about what you did after the ball game, the gesture you did to the crowd after the ball game. As far as that, tell us a little bit about that. In my time watching it, not a single person has ever brought a crowd together like you did at the sidelines of last night's game?
Well, putting me on the spot, Damon.
It's tough. You got to be on the spot sometimes.
That's right. Well, I just last night was an emotional game for me. Just having those guys go down, and I just was really appreciative of the support that we have from our fans and parents that came out to support us. I mean, Chariton's not a huge distance, but I felt we had a really good crowd, and it was nice to see those guys there, and I wanted to bring the boys over so they could feel that love from them, and let them know. And I feel like I tell them a lot, but maybe I don't tell them as much as I should. Or I'm sure if they asked you or you asked them, they'd probably say, "Yeah, Coach tells us he loves us." And but and so when I was talking to them, I just turned around and glanced back at some players, and they were getting a little emotional, and it just caught me in the moment. But I just wanted our fans and parents to know that this is my message was we'll get there, and we're gonna get there with you guys behind us and helping and supporting us, and if if you keep coming and supporting us, we will get there together. And that was my message to them, and I just wanted our players to thank them. And don't know if I was able to actually articulate all that well with the emotion, but so wasn't really planned, but it just kind of naturally got there, I guess.
Obviously a cool gesture indeed. We'll be right back with segment number 3 of Tribe Talk. Segment number 2 is brought to you by Joe's Hack and Quack Barbershop. Final segment of Tribe Talk is brought to you by Osceola Foods, and talking with Duane Matthess, head football coach of the Clarke Indians here, and coming off of a 42-0 loss to Chariton on the road in week number 2 of district play. Now you guys get to open up district play at home, homecoming against Davis County, two teams that struggled out of the gate this year.
Yeah, they're pretty similar to us in numbers, as well as size. So I still think they're probably bigger than us a little bit in some positions. So I like our matchup. I mean, and they're not going to do anything razzle-dazzle or anything like that with Davis County, in the sense of they will line up double tight, single receiver, split backfield, and they will run fullback dive. They'll run some toss, and so, we got to make sure we have guys that step up, in the holes to slow things down a little bit, or it's going to be a long night.
And that's seeing them run the I formations and the double tights and single receivers is night and day difference compared to what they've done in the previous few years, running the zone read, and it's probably because of the option at quarterback now that their quarterback back then could run the ball as well as throw it just as well. So seeing this change is a little odd for us who have I played Davis County prior, and you see them coming out in 4 or 5 receiver sets, running zone reads on sweeps and everything, and so seeing this come out is a little different game planning for you guys, and you get to take on a team in a power set like that. What's it going to take on the defensive side of the ball to power up against these guys?
Well, we got to have strong linebacker play, which I think has been a kind of a question mark for us, especially now with our injuries that we have. So, if we can come out and step up into the holes and fill those with, their split backfield, and sometimes they'll have a fullback lead through. Sometimes it'll just be essentially like a dive play. I mean, so, um, and it's going to be crucial. And, you know, Chariton did that a lot with us last night, and we weren't able to stop it. So we need, as coaches, need to come together to figure out what's the best alternative for us to get some stops defensively, because I really feel that we should be able to move the ball against Davis County. And you know, I know that it's homecoming week. There's going to be a lot of distractions this week going on, whether it's boom night or, you know, decorations and all these things that the students do. And you know, one positive is you know, this year for homecoming court, and we don't have any football players on there, so none of them are distracted by that. So we'll have their focus on that. But I would have loved to actually see some football players being represented on that. But you know, we got next year.
And it is what it is with that. And you talked a little bit about homecoming and some of the things. What you guys have played now, a couple of rivalry games, and now you guys get homecoming. You don't really have to have the emotion driven prior to the game, because you've got all these things that lead up to it. Rivalry games you want to get up for, and now homecoming you want to get up for, because you've got numerous alumni coming to town to watch you guys, the new product that you guys are trying to put out on the field. Talk a little bit about a homecoming game.
Well, if you probably ask most football coaches, they will all pretty much tell you that they hate homecoming. And you know, just because it's you know, as a coach, your focus wants to be on the game. Mm-hmm. And it seems like that's where the focus is always not the game with homecoming. It's either, you know, when the dance is going to be, you know, who's going to be where for decorations, and you know, what are we doing for boom night and all these other things, and the parade. You can't forget the parade. No. I mean, so it's going to be a challenge. I mean, in the sense of the distractions, I think. But you know, one of the things that I think that I love about our team here is that you know, they don't get caught up in all the other stuff usually. Like, you know, even with our rivalry games, I mean, they approach it like how I would like them to approach it is, you know, it's a game. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like the other 8 games that are on our schedule. And so they don't get too high or too low for it, and they stay kind of pretty consistent. And so, you know, that's definitely how I approach them, and I'm glad that they've kind of embraced that as well.
Offensively, you talked about you should be able to move the ball against them, and what are you guys going to need to do offensively to get that ball moving down, score some points, and give this Clarke crowd a big homecoming night?
Well, you know, we got to find a good combination back there in the backfield, whether that's going to be Byron or Chris Carson, or maybe, you know, someone else. Mm-hmm. You know, so if we can find a good combination there, that's going to be someone that's going to, you know, hit the hole and you know, be going forward and not, you know, sideways or anything like that for yardage, you know, we'll be all right. You know, I think that you know, we are going to. We had some success last night throwing the football, so we're going to continue to do that. Just so teams have to respect the fact that we will throw or run the ball. I mean, this season hasn't been really indicative how we will be offensively. You know, we've been real heavy run. Excuse me. I'd like to see a little bit more balance in regards to that. We just hadn't had the opportunity to do that just quite yet. So, but you know, I think I'm pretty happy with the challenges that we have this week with Davis County. I mean, I think that we will be able to, like I said, move the ball, and we just got to make sure we can get some stops.
And this game means a little bit to you on a personal standpoint as coach to coach in this one. Talk to us a little bit about what that means.
Well, Davis County's head football coach, Coach Blake, is actually from my hometown. He graduated, I believe, like 5 years before me, 5 or 6 years before me. When I was a middle school kid, I was watching him play for Tipton High School, wearing that black and gold uniform at Diedrichson Field, and so much like hopefully our middle school kids are watching our guys play down here at Clarke Field, and so I know Coach Blake very well. He's a tremendous guy. I know that he's been at Davis County for a number of years now. Prior to becoming the head football coach there, he was the defensive coordinator, and and I know he loves it over there in Bloomfield. So it's kind of a right now both teams are winless on the season, so someone's got to win. I would love it for my first win here at Clarke to go against Tim. I could always kind of, whenever I see him, remind him of that. No, just kidding. But I just it's always great competing against guys that are doing things right and are teaching things the right way. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Blake, and so it'll be nice to face off against him on Friday night.
Gonna be a cool matchup indeed for you guys on a personal standpoint, and for this game to mean quite a bit as far as who can get their first victory on the season. Coach, final thoughts before we head off into the week?
I think that it's a great opportunity. I always say that. I don't want to try to put too much pressure on the kids, because it's not what it's about. But we have a great opportunity presenting itself with Davis County, and we obviously look forward to the challenges that we have. I mean, again, no one's ever going to feel sorry for us or give us sympathy. We're not asking for it. I'm so proud of these young men that go out and decide to compete. I talked earlier in the week to them. None of them are average because they've made the choice to come out here and be a part of something. And the easy decision, or the easy choice, is to sit at home and not be a part of something. And they've all made a choice to be a part of this, and I hope they continue to make that choice, for the years to come. And we're excited. My first homecoming experience here at Clarke, I heard it's kind of a life of its own. So I'm excited to kind of get involved in that tradition, and I wish it was Friday. I mean, already, so we can get this and get the game going. And it's hard to believe that we're already almost kind of like halfway through our season here. I mean, so it's gone way too fast, and not looking forward to that Week 9 game when it's going to be all over after that. I mean, but just because the seniors that have made an impact on me on not just an athletic level, but just a personal level. I mean, so but yeah, just proud of these kids. Please continue to come out and support them, and hopefully we'll be singing that school fight song at the end in victory.
That is the head football coach of the Clarke Indians, Duane Matthess, here on Tribe Talk. And this segment of Tribe Talk brought to you by Osceola Foods. And Tribe Talk every week is brought to you by Joe's Hack and Quack Barbershop, Osceola Dental Care, and Osceola Foods. We'll be back next week talking the recap of Davis County and homecoming week right here on Tribe Talk.